This podcast is just for fun. It's all fake. Don't believe us. Look, do your own research.
I ain't doing that.
Ew, 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 ew.
You're binaural.
Welcome
to
The
Show.
kind of switch it up.
You made it a question. The
Huh? Welcome to the show. The show.
show.
The show.
the show. The show. Hi. I'm back. It's been a minute.
Phil. Yeah, dude. You
Just a
missed like
couple
2 or
weeks.
3 weeks, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think 2.
And
But it
then
felt like more than that because we double recorded before that, right?
Yeah, it
So
was
it's
like
been 3 weeks since we recorded.
something like that.
I think.
Yep.
Yeah.
Something along those lines. And
Or since I recorded.
Yeah. And then we recorded because we were all just chilling, hanging out. We were like, might as well
Yeah.
stay ahead on the episode. So that anyway, the famous, the stash that knows no match.
Yeah.
Camden is back this week.
Yeah.
He had so much fun with the like 15 sentences that he said on the last one. He's like, I got to do that again. It was exhilarating.
When we listened to it, he said,
That's my voice.
That's my voice? That's what I sound like? We're like, yeah. That's what you sound like.
I did not want to listen to it, but you kind of forced me to listen to it. So.
Oh my god.
Locked him in the back of the truck.
Yeah.
Made him listen to it. Yep.
Is your
I remember the first time I had to listen to my own voice. I think it was junior high or high school, and one of my teachers, I can't remember who it was, had us do like a presentation that we had to, like, we recorded a video for it, and then we had to watch it back before we could like. And I was like, the first time I listened, I was like, ew, 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 ew. I hate it. I hate it. I hate it. Why? Why is it? No.
Yeah.
Gross. Apparently, that's a very common thing, but
yeah.
I have grown to like the sound of my own voice. I don't know if you guys can tell that or not.
Narcissist.
you have a very likable voice. We're already talking about this.
Just showing off at this point.
Yeah, well, my voice is better than your voice, okay?
Mine's not. I don't mind as much as I used to. I'll say that.
I feel like I sound way nerdier than I look.
Yeah.
That
yeah,
doesn't
you-
take a whole lot.
Because I look 0% nerdy.
Yeah, you're like...
My voice would sound more like it feels like it should come from Camden more than from myself.
That was mean.
I don't know if that was an insult or not.
No, not at all. I think, but that's okay. I will
Said
say
you
this.
look super nerdy.
I think having a little bit of nerdiness to you is a compliment and
Yeah.
not a negative. And bro, you go to a school of mines, like you're a nerd.
Yeah. Everyone there is a nerd.
Yeah.
The whole campus is a nerd.
That's true. That is true.
None of my roommates talk to me.
We have fully embraced it.
You could cut off the
nerd
two
life
me.
and yeah.
Yeah.
You can cut off the
We
two
love
me.
our little nerd
I
over
would
there.
bet most of your roommates
Two me.
don't talk.
But I will say that Camden is the least nerdy of the nerds. So you're the king of the nerds. Because you're nerdy enough to fit in, but not so nerdy that your life.
You're multicultural.
Yeah,
You're
yeah.
multicultural.
Yeah.
You still lift and do jujitsu and stuff like that. So it's like you got best of both worlds.
You're
man. You got the
binerdle.
intelligence.
Binerdle.
You're binerdle.
Binerdle.
You fit in with any group of nerds.
Any group of nerds.
Any group, even the kind that is in this room right now. See? You just fit in.
I'm going to remember that word. Binerdle.
Binerdle.
That's what we do too. We make up words around here.
Oh my goodness! All right, I'm gonna open my energy drink because I'm drinking the raspberry cream again. So
I think might have
The worst flavor.
No, it's not.
I still haven't tried it. I haven't tried the red.
It honestly, so the more that I
it?
drink it, the more it just tastes like the red Sour Patch.
Oh, really?
It's a little less. It's basically the red Sour Patch with a little less sourness, and then instead with cream.
What brand is that? What's that one?
Ghost.
Ghost, of course. Wait, so what?
Wow.
Oh, wow.
Took your time with that one.
That had like a echo pop.
Yeah.
Echo
dope.
Pop.
It had like a rhythm to it. Like,
Doesn't Ghost have a red Sour Patch Kids one? Okay,
Yeah,
I thought so.
that's what I was saying. It
I
tastes
tastes like that flavor.
I'm
Okay.
thinking that the flavor that they use for the raspberry is the same flavor for the red Sour Patch, and so it tastes similar.
I read somewhere that flavor, the enhancement of that flavor, actually comes from the spray sacks of raccoons.
That's
The scent sacks.
that's the same. Is that? I don't know if that's true or not because it's the same thing as with vanilla from Beaver.
Okay,
It's the same thing.
Maybe we've just
Allegedly,
tapped
it's the
into
scent
scent sacks, and they just taste like.
I don't like that word, sense.
Hey, I'm all about using every part of the animal. Okay, if the leftovers of the raccoon make my energy drink taste phenomenal,
Who was the guy that was?
who am I to judge?
eating
What God
a
praised?
roasted raccoon?
That's what I'm saying.
Who's the guy who was
That's
eating the
my
roasted raccoon? Because I've watched enough of those like backwoods cooking shows where they cook a raccoon and they remove the scent sack and they toss it out. Who was the guy who was like, raspberries? I don't know.
Little hint of raspberry.
There's a hint of raspberry.
Friggin' Joe, you're so weird. Man, what's wrong with that boy?
I mean, I think the same thing with like mushrooms, like morel mushrooms. Hey, this random thing that grows only when it's really wet in the spring and looks like a brain and is hollow inside.
Let's put it in my mouth. Yeah.
Yeah, that's
what
actually
we
pretty
do as
good.
humans.
This one that looks exactly like the other one but is not hollow, let's eat that. And you die.
Yep. Mm-hmm. Sounds like that's human history.
My theory with the mushroom thing is some stupid teenager ate one on a dare and got really high, and then that was the beginning. They were like, I must try all the mushrooms. And eventually they tried the wrong one and died. But their friends were like, he got high a lot of times.
Yeah.
And so like they just kept searching, and eventually somebody mapped out all of the like edible mushrooms. They're like, well, this one just tastes good, but it doesn't get you high.
But think about
disappointed.
That. Like, are we beyond the point of where if we find something, we have to try and eat it? Like, are we still doing that as humans?
I still get that urge.
Brother, every time that they find a new fish, I'm like, I want to know what that tastes like.
Yeah. I mean, it's part of being human, just trying.
I mean, yeah.
Think about this.
Trying things to see what it does to your body.
This is how connected to our taste and our mouth we are. Look at any obstacle, look at any object in this room, and you know exactly what it would feel like on your tongue.
I don't like that I know that.
Wow.
Look at anything. You can correctly
that is true.
know what it would feel like on your tongue.
You can imagine the feeling.
That is yeah, you're right though. I'm looking around.
Yeah.
Yep.
For the people driving, look at your steering wheel. You know exactly what that would feel like on your tongue. Look at your seat.
Yeah.
You know exactly what that would feel like on your tongue.
The pop tab on my energy drink.
Yeah.
I know exactly what that feels like on your tongue.
Yeah,
that is
tastes
weird.
like.
And you
And
don't
tastes
have to
like.
put it on.
Okay,
And you
so I'm
never
an open
put
mind.
this on the tongue.
I've been into the zero nos lately, and it's like a citrusy. I don't know
Nos Zero's
exactly.
not
I
bad.
love
I
Nos
really
Zero.
It's
like
the
it.
only Nos that, well, not the
My buddy TBK, you are now going to become his favorite host because
It's almost like a
loves Nos.
1980s Tang kind
It's
of.
so
I don't
good.
even know what it is.
It's
original Nos is bottom 5.
Maybe it's like
energy
it's like
drinks
almost
of all
like
time.
Mandarin.
I like the
Mandarin
original
oranges.
No.
I like the original Nos.
I think that's why I like it because Mandarin oranges by far are like the money fruit. Like if I had to pick one fruit to eat the rest of my life, Mandarin oranges.
You're so weird for that. I'm not going to
What I
lie.
would eat.
That is
If I had to pick one
crazy.
fruit,
Not even.
Mandarin oranges.
That's not top 10 for me.
I would probably go pear, my number one.
Ooh, pear's
But
good.
Mandarin oranges would be pretty high up there. But no, Nos tastes like the 90s to me. Because it's like, that's the era of like, you had like Vault and you had
It's so many
Surge
fake
and
flavors.
Vault
came
is a
out.
deep
Nos
Yeah.
and dude. Like,
Yeah, it's almost got like a Smarties kind of taste to in
Yeah.
it. I don't
See,
know. You're right though.
Rip
I
It
could
is
see
my
it.
Nos.
you're making me crave one. I haven't had one on the show since we first started recording. because I was trying to do something different each week, and then.
Yeah. Well, every time I take a sip, I'm going to make a little noise for you, just to
That's okay. You
a little
don't
bit.
have to.
No, let him cook.
You're just putting salt on the wound.
All right, we are going to do our Bigfoot affirmation.
I've got my drink.
Oh yeah, open your drink while I pull this
I got
out.
the Monster Viking Berry.
That one's fire. That is a good monster.
All right, ready?
Get it. Ooh, that was a big pop.
That was good.
A good pop.
In the ancient days of giants, when the earth was wild and free, a creature roamed the valleys, cloaked in mystery. Is he born of angels' blood and man, a Nephilim so tall, or a shadow of the fallen, yet he the maker's call? He's a biblically accurate Bigfoot, with a lineage from the skies. Not a myth or legend, but a truth that never dies. Is he a remnant of the Nephilim, a titan standing tall? Or does he have the word of God upon him, the last to hear the call?
All right, we are on number 28, and it says, "Keep searching for magic. It's closer than you think."
Ooh, man.
That scares me a little bit. I don't like that. I don't like that. I think this it thinks of magic in a different way than I think of magic, and so I don't like that.
Imagine that would have been drawn on an episode where we were talking about like magic or things that people,
that would have been perfect.
Like that. Yeah.
Oh,
Last episode, that would have been like actually perfect.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
Yep.
So
All right.
I haven't talked to anybody else about this other than like I think there's 3 people that I've told about this, but I have a quick like astronomy thing that I got to bring up. So a couple weeks ago, it was Monday night, I think 2 weeks ago, there was a meteor shower going on. Okay. And I was out, parked out north of Crawford somewhere. I won't tell people my hiding spot, but I was parked out north of Crawford in my duty pickup, and I was just kind of sitting around looking at the stars. And it was supposed to be like,
That's you parked out there? I'm just kidding. I don't know.
if you're out
Every time I have to slam on my brakes because there's a car there.
Sorry, go ahead.
No, you're good. So it was supposed to be like pretty heavy in the area of like Orion, constellation Orion. And so I'm looking over in that vicinity. I'm sitting there, I'm listening to an audiobook, and I'm watching traffic go by, and I'm watching for meteors, and there's not much going on. Couple of decent ones, very few anything else. And as I'm sitting there, I start to notice something, and there was like a little flash, like right next to Orion's belt. And it took me like 2 or 3 times of seeing it to like pinpoint exactly where it was, because it was super quick, but it was bright enough to be absolutely certain that there was something there. Okay. So I watch it like 3 times happen, and it's not moving. It's not relocating. It's not tracking across the sky. It's not meteors. There's no movement. It's just a flash. And it was like probably once every like 40 seconds or so for the first week. I'm like, what is that? What is that? And I was like, I got to call my mom. So I called my mom, like, hey, can you come outside and take a look at something? She's the one that turned me on to the meteor shower. So like, I figured she might be, looking or like available to look. And so she goes outside and she looks up and she sees it too. And we both saw it for at least 3 more times. So at least like 6 times over the course of between 5 and 10 minutes. And then it stopped. And we're sitting there and she saw it in the same spot. Okay, so I don't know how far that has to be from Earth for the like math to where it looks like it's in the same spot for both of us, but that's like 200 miles away. And so we're sitting there, and probably she went inside after a few minutes, and probably 10-15 minutes later, I saw it again above the belt. So before, it was between the second and third, or the middle and left star on the belt, and a little bit below it, probably about equidistant from the 2 of them, just a little bit below the belt line. The second round of them was above the belt line at about the same distance. And it happened. I watched it like 5 more times, but it was like every 10 seconds. So all in like the course of a minute. I have no idea what it was. I have no clue. Nothing that I'm aware of that we know of in astronomy makes sense for what that was. If anybody knows or has any idea or saw it too, please talk to me about this, because it was tripping me out. Like, that's not a satellite. It's not a meteor. I don't know what it was, but it was just there.
Yeah.
And I had somebody else view it at the same time from 200 miles away.
Huh.
So I just
Were the intervals, were they like pretty even? Like if you were to time it?
relative. I think they were
even?
fairly close. I don't know that they were exact. I couldn't tell you. They were far enough apart that I couldn't be sure, and there weren't enough of them for me to really get like a good, get set up to track it. And then nothing else for the rest. I sat there and watched for like another hour afterwards and nothing. But it weirded me out.
Yeah.
A lot.
Yeah, that is kind of weird.
I haven't had a lot of things that were like not explainable in terms of like something that I've viewed personally. And I love astronomy. I'm such a freaking nerd about that stuff. But like, so I was trying to figure out what it was. I have no idea. I don't have a reasonable explanation for what it was.
Would it just like blink on and then off, or was it like escalating in like brightness?
No, it was consistent. It was just flash.
Oh.
And then, like 40 seconds later, flash.
That's
It was quick enough that like I said, it took me a couple times. I was like, where exactly was that? And I was trying to pinpoint it. I was like, oh, it's right there. And then sat there staring for like another 45 seconds and flash. I was like, what?
That's what I was going to ask too. Did it flash when you were looking at it? Because I know some of the stars, you can't see when you're looking right at them. You have to like look a little bit off, and then you can see them.
Right.
And, like just your.
Well, and that's how it got my attention.
Which I always thought was weird.
That's how it got my attention. But no, I was looking right at it, and I watched it blink in like as I was staring at it like 3 or 4 times.
Wild.
Yeah,
It was the paparazzi up in the dome, flat Earth,
Star Wars.
taking pictures.
It was the North Pole.
That is the wrong area of the sky, but
That's not
like
the
your
North
enthusiasm.
Star, Grizz. That's the light on the water treatment plant.
I thought it was interesting that it was like
Swamp gas.
I did think it was very interesting that it was like right on Orion's belt, like one of the most well-known constellations that we are aware of.
The galaxy.
The galaxy is on. That was my first thought that night. I was like, "What?" To prevent war. Anywho, that was yep. Food for, I don't know if you want to think about it.
Yeah.
I'm thinking.
Well, with that,
We got news?
yeah, we got a couple. Actually, I've narrowed it down to one because I think we're going to talk about it a little bit longer.
Okay.
We even had somebody message in the Discord today about it. Have you guys been paying at all attention to what is going on in Minnesota?
Yes.
I have not.
I have been seeing
Wow.
bits and pieces of it. I haven't.
I did a deep dive a little bit.
Okay. I figured you would.
So let me pull up the guy's name because I want to give him credit for the research he has done.
Is this a dude that's going around and confronting people on it, or is
Yes.
it, okay, yeah.
So he has done more in one day than anybody else has done in literally since there's video footage dating all the way back to 2015. So in 10 years,
Bro.
nobody has done anything to uncover this. So the origins of this is a YouTuber, Nick Shirley. He released a long video alleging that numerous Minnesota daycares and childcare centers were receiving millions in taxpayer funds while not actually providing any services. So he was going up to the daycares and he'd knock on the door and be like, "Hey, my son Timmy, we're trying to get him enrolled. When do you guys meet? There's no kids here." And they'd be like, "Oh, no kids. And then like they were all almost, I think everyone that I saw was Somali. Mm-hmm. And they just got in trouble for funding hundreds of millions, if not billions, to Somalia, to terror rings. We'll word it that way for lack of wanting the episode to get shadow banned. And so he goes around and he's going to a lot of different things. And the feedback, so somebody came out just recently and was like, "Oh, he did really dishonest investigative journalism because he came during off hours." And it's like, what? He came at like noon.
What
dude?
difference
like,
does that make anyway?
And then they would be like, "See our posted time," and I'm pretty sure they posted it after the fact. Would say like 3 p.m. to midnight. What daycare is open from 3 p.m. to midnight?
Classic daycare hours.
So now video footage has shown up from 2015 of people bringing their kids into these daycares and then immediately bringing them back out.
Immediately?
Immediately.
Huh.
So they're bringing their kids in, signing them in, bringing them out, and getting a cut from the money.
That is weird.
because then they have the numbers of people attending, but their kids are not actually attending the daycare. And so it was a scheme to get grant money for their own families. And so they would kind of go make the rounds. From what I saw, allegedly, everything on this podcast is just for fun, as you heard at the beginning of the podcast, that they would do rings and they would have like 10 different daycares that their kids were a part of, and they would collect a little bit of the money from each daycare.
That's enough to pay for actual daycare.
Right.
Yeah.
And then,
Basically, you got free
kids to daycare. So
I'd take that deal.
the dollar amount that he uncovered in one day worth of investigative journalism,
It'd be like a massive amount.
$100 million in one day.
That is
Worth of, because he would go through and figure out how much each of these daycares received worth of grant money. Now, the Democrats in Minnesota are calling on, I can't remember what her name is, the Somali senator or whatever she is, and Walz to step down because they're in the middle of it and they're defending everything and saying like, oh, I mean, we're grateful for him uncovering all of this stuff. And it's like, dude, it's been going on since 2015. How has nobody looked into this? Clearly they've been investigating it since 2015, or at least somebody did, because otherwise this video footage wouldn't be free domain or whatever. Okay. So now I want to take you guys back a little bit, okay? Do you guys remember the politician? Her name was Melissa Hortman. She was the one who was the solo person who voted against funding, and this funding now is proven that it was going to Somalia. She was the solo person who voted against it, and then she was assassinated in Minnesota. Do you remember that?
Yes.
So when it happened, we didn't know about the millions, possibly billions of dollars worth of money being funneled and, appropriated to different nefarious causes and nefarious places. Now, in hindsight, nobody's talking about it, but she was the solo person who voted against it. Starting to wonder if maybe you could connect one and one, 1 + 1 = 2. And my personal conspiracy theory is that she was onto it and she started figuring it out and they needed to take her out. Just my theory, though.
She's the one that the left was all like upset about, everybody, like the right not being upset about her death, right?
After Charlie Kirk passed, everybody was like, why weren't you upset about her getting assassinated? And we're like, dude, we were. You guys didn't do anything about it.
That was the other weird thing about it. Timeline was right.
Well, that was the other weird thing about it was when she did die, it was like nobody else was really like, it was like they didn't push her story.
Right.
Like all the people around her.
I didn't hear about it
until push her story.
I didn't hear about it until the left was like upset that the right was crying over Charlie Kirk and not her.
Yeah.
That was the only reason I ever heard about it.
Yeah. Yeah, I hadn't even heard of it before that.
Like we didn't care until you were upset about it.
So can I ask so this money that's going through,
yeah,
does anybody have any theories on the purpose of this money? Like who it's going to, what it's going for? Is it just laundered? What is the purpose of all this?
So the two receiving parties are, three, I guess, would be lawmakers, the Somali immigrants, and Somali terrorists. It's the only time I'll say that word. Even before this investigative journalist started to figure this out, within our own government, they had noticed around at least $1 billion worth of money had been funneled through the Minnesota government to known
rings.
Right, but what I'm saying is what investment does Minnesota have in Somalia? That's what I'm wondering.
They have the largest body of Somali immigrants from Somalia in the United States.
By a lot.
So fun fact.
You see what I'm saying, though?
I do. But
how many of those Somalis are in government, and why is why is the government of Minnesota looking out for these immigrants from Somalia?
So there's a thing that happens
Somalia
in world geopolitics. Okay, our government will go into a country that has deemed it to be dangerous. Uh-huh. And after they go in and bring quote unquote freedom and stability to this country, they open up refugee status to those people in America. The next party we'll probably see become refugee status is probably going to be Venezuela, because we're bringing freedom to Venezuela or whatever right now. And so then we see a large influx of those that population group coming from that country, fleeing the war-torn area, coming to America, and then basically becoming established. Well, with Somalia in particular, there's one very important piece of information that I think is creating this issue, and it is the religion of all of 100% of the people who came over here. And with that religion, so Christianity does the same thing. In Christianity, Christ is first and our government is second.
Right.
And in Islam, Allah is first and then government is second. Well, the problem with the difference between Christianity and Islam is Christianity is like, I have all these principles and I'm going to vote these in. But in Islam, part of their religion, they have a law set that is mandatory with their religion. And so that law set has to become part of the government that they are establishing themselves in, because it is part of their religion. And so it is the Sharia law, in case you didn't know that. So that law set is mandatory. And so basically they flooded, and there's entire towns they have taken over, like big cities that they have taken over in Minnesota. And so once you begin and you take over an entire city, now all of those politicians within that city now have a voice and a say in the state government and in national funding. They can begin creating and finding loopholes in order to funnel that money. And so it's not the entire Minnesota government. Right. You know, in Minnesota, there's
and that's
good politicians and bad politicians on both sides. But when you have enough of the politicians that you can begin to take advantage of these loopholes, and then you have people at the highest level, like, what is her name? Omar something rather?
I don't know.
When you have somebody at literally the highest level of government, in my mind, there's a lot more that you can then do. Like, think about like what Gavin Newsom has done in California and the different things that he's done, both good and bad in California, because he in California.
Can you list me the good things real quick? Should only take a second.
It's weird to me that it's Minnesota, because when I think of Minnesota, I think of about the most middle class white Christian state.
No.
Because everybody I've ever met from Minnesota, that's them. I've never met anybody Somali from Minnesota.
40 years ago,
that's what
maybe.
I'm saying.
40 years ago, maybe.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah,
so that's why I'm asking questions.
It's surprising.
Yeah.
But
Minnesota's population is...
In the last, 20 years or so, 20, 30 years, it has gone so hard left in Minnesota. I have family in Minnesota, so like I kind of have an idea of, but it's.
But I mean, we're making it about left and right. What does that have to do with
not Christian,
with nefarious
Well, for me anyway, at least the way I've seen it, for the most part, left rejects Christianity wholesale.
I disagree.
That's for the not liberal,
for the majority,
not leaning,
I would say
not left leaning, left, and Minnesota is left. Okay. Not left leaning, left,
like radical left versus radical.
Okay.
Not middle left.
Because I would argue radical right is not majority Christian either.
Yeah. No, I think Christianity I would say it falls in the middle.
Yeah, I would agree.
Towards the middle, at
and
least.
Again, this is
because
all
there's
conspiracy theory stuff. Because I don't know. So I lived in Colorado when Colorado did the
some
same
of it
thing
is
with
not
Ethiopia.
conspiracy theory. Some of it is not conspiracy theory. The money going over to Somalia to terrorist rings, that's not conspiracy theory.
But
that's
my point is that it's taking some rando YouTube conspiracy theorists to dig this up, and when it's happened in other states, it gets shut down quick. You know what I mean? Like Colorado, opened up to they did a lottery. When I was in college, they did a lottery with Ethiopia, bringing in refugees from Ethiopia and different other countries that were at war and stuff in Africa, and they put regulations on that when they came over, and this was back in the 90s to keep that from keep it the politics separate from that.
Yeah,
so it's weird to me that it took this guy, but then again, like you said, if the government is waist deep in it, then
I also think 30 years has changed more than we realize.
Yeah,
intuitively.
Yeah,
because I wouldn't be shocked at all if Colorado had the same problem now and it just hasn't been uncovered yet. I would not be the least bit surprised. Minnesota, until probably, I think I started recognizing it 10 years ago.
Yeah.
Minnesota, it was because I thought the same thing. I was like, Minnesota's woods people, hunters, and like you were saying, like this is normal.
They're bringing
it's
bringing
just
Jello,
not.
Jello salad to the family get together, and
it ain't that way anymore.
Interesting.
And it seems like it changed pretty fast. And now it's completely unhinged. Minnesota is unhinged. They also, I mean, you think about like their tradition of like hunting outdoors stuff, that they have the strictest gun control in like top maybe like 3 states wise. I think New York and California are ahead of them, but like they're up there for like the strictest gun control in the United States. Their laws are ridiculous. You can't do anything that I like to do in Minnesota. Which sucks because it's a beautiful state. And I think there's a lot of good people live there. But
it's just from my conspiracy theory and looking at it from the outside of politics and outside of left versus right kind of stuff, looking at it that neither side is doing anything about it.
Yeah.
Well, neither side is barely even talking about it if it's that big of a thing,
I would say the right,
devil's advocate for that.
I would say the right is blasting it a lot more than the left is right now currently. Yeah. And here's one big difference. And here's the reason why I don't think you can separate the politics from it, is because what is the left known for pushing? Social programs. The right is known for trying to conserve those and reduce those. And so in more liberal states, you're going to have more social programs.
Right.
With more social programs, you're going to have more corruption. You're going to have more of these situations occurring. So the more liberal, the more left-leaning the state is, the more opportunity for there are, because of part of the tenet, one of the main tenets of left-leaning politics in America is social programs.
Right.
And so in a left-leaning state, you're going to see more of this because, and that's not to say that it's right or wrong, but because it's one of those things. It's like if 0 social programs exist, you're going to see 0 corruption within social programs. If 500,000 social programs exist and you see, 100,000, 400,000 are still good social programs or whatever. Right. But that 100,000 of the social programs that are corrupt or are being taken advantage of. Have you ever looked into the homeless in California?
I'll be honest, I run straight down the middle, and my news feed and my social media doesn't say, you're the only person I've ever heard talk about this Minnesota thing. I've never seen it on any social media.
Well, it just popped up. This is within the last week.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But so I don't see a whole lot of any far left or far right stuff. My stuff's right down the middle. And unless they're making fun of somebody, I don't see anything on either side.
Mine is super down the middle, but I engage with more politics stuff than I think you do.
Yeah.
And I think that probably has a lot to it. Have you ever looked into the homeless stuff with California?
No.
So in the homeless funding, I'm throwing out numbers, so my numbers are not specific, but you can get the general idea. In the last 10 years, California has spent it's a ridiculous amount of money. It's like $150,000 per person who is homeless in California on solving homelessness.
Yeah.
And the people at the top of the food chain, when it comes to that, don't really actually want to solve homelessness.
Right.
They just want to make it appear like they're making progress.
It's kind of like the medical field.
Because if you solve it,
medicine and things.
Yep. If you cure cancer, you can't make money off it.
I can't make money.
Right.
It's like the light bulb thing. We've talked about the light bulb thing. If I make light bulbs that last forever, I can't sell light bulbs.
Right.
I get it. It's the same.
And I would say the social programs are the same thing.
Money and power makes the world go round.
Yeah.
For sure.
Social programs are the same thing. The people who benefit from it they're not going to want to acknowledge it because they're benefiting from it.
Right.
And we see even within the CIA how much money is slush fund and has a title of AIDS research, and it's actually like MK Ultra. You know what I mean? Going historically.
Then you get rid of all the homeless people and drug addiction and all that. You get rid of all your guinea pigs for all these government experiments.
Yeah.
And so, so I would argue, to kind of wrap all of that up, we actually ended up spending longer on it than I wanted to.
Yeah, it was good talk though. Definitely.
But one thing that I will say is beyond the ethical, beyond the, and I don't like to assign religious value to politics. One thing I will say is that because of the nature of left-leaning politics, there is more room for corruption, so to say. But on the lack of those programs on the right, when someone is corrupt, it has the potential to do more damage. Does that make sense?
We only see the corrupt. Not
So there's more corruption on the left because of the nature of how left-leaning politics is. But when someone is corrupt on the right, it can do more damage because there's less programs. There's
I'll agree
less.
with that.
Whatever.
I also think that corruption on the right tends to be more overt about the way they take power and do things. Like, I don't feel like it's as shadowy. It's just like, this is the way I'm doing it.
Yeah.
It's wrong. I don't care. Whatever.
Yeah,
I'm just doing the thing. I'm going to do the thing.
I'm taking
I have the power,
advantage
I'm
of the
doing it.
loopholes and I'm doing it.
Yeah. Whereas the left is more like, no, we're doing good things.
Yeah, we're doing the good things. Yeah, I would agree with that too.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's just as bad. It's just not as honest.
So I did want to talk about that because it is becoming a big deal. And I will be honest, I think Walz is going to be asked to step down within the next. Oh, he already is being asked to step down by the other Democrats. And here's the other thing that tells me that it's not political right, gotcha.
Right.
Is that it's the Democratic leaders now are asking him to step down.
Well, and also, wasn't what was her name? Hortman?
Yeah.
She was Democrat, right?
She was Democrat.
So, that the only person that was trying to shut it down was on the left. So,
allegedly.
I mean,
and the Walz,
if
the
we're
Walz
running with
thing is
running
weird
with
too
that.
because I know Walz and his wife because they're both from Alliance.
Yep.
So I know both of them.
Yeah.
And so so it's a little different when somebody like that gets involved in some stuff, and I'm like,
his nephew is one of my friends in school. Yeah.
Yep.
And that's
Gwen was my theater teacher when I was freshman, sophomore.
With Walz, the one thing that I would say. And I know that there's a lot of people around here that do know them because he did go to school at Chadron. He taught in Alliance. Mm-hmm. I know a lot of people know him or at least knew him. And I can say, and so personally, in the ministry world, sometimes people are not corrupt. They're just
complacent.
Yeah. Because I wanted to use the word incompetent, but it's not incompetency.
No.
It's complacency. And I think sometimes people can get complacent, just not wanting to rock the boat in certain areas. And it can cause corruption to just
I think we all at some point get complacent in certain things. Like if I'm at a Walmart and a fight breaks out and I don't know anybody involved, I might go call somebody for. I might just keep walking and pretend like I don't see it. I think a lot of us get complacent because we don't want to be. It gets dangerous when you get in the middle of stuff.
In the military. Pastor, well, he was, I guess, former pastor now, but Sean Bonzoff, he used to talk about his time in the military, and when they would leave the base over in the Middle East, they had a big sign that said "Complacency kills."
Yeah,
and I think that applies to all aspects of job. And for me personally, that's one of the biggest problems I have with like tenure status.
Yeah,
is I think once you reach tenure, now again, I like tenure status. I'm not talking.
There's flaws with good things.
Yes,
it's fine.
But I think one of the things that can easily happen with tenure status is it entices complacency.
Yeah.
Because there's no real risk of being complacent anymore.
Right.
And you have to overcome that complacency. And in ministry, with our job, complacency. So for what we do, I know most people that listen to this know, but my wife and I, we run a ministry on a college campus. And so our entire organization flips over every 4 years. We can't be complacent.
Yeah.
Because if we're complacent for 2 years, our ministry is literally cut in half. If we're complacent for 4 years, our ministry doesn't exist.
Right.
And so we can't be complacent. But in the church world, you could have a church pastor that could be complacent for 20, 30 years, and their organization is really going to function exactly the same as it did always.
Yeah.
And that can create
big
more problems that can spin
big
off
organizations,
on it.
It's easier for people to be complacent and hide. I drive taxi for funsies at the railroad, and out there, as much as they complain about their jobs, most of them are, if you were to put it in categories, they're complaining about complacency. They are complaining about someone else not doing their job.
Yeah.
They're complaining about the railroad as a corporation not taking care of their equipment.
Right.
Not scheduling correctly, not building the schedules right because they're too lazy to do it right. Mm-hmm. Building double-sized mega trains because they don't want to have to deal with more trips. They can do fewer trips. Yeah. Like everything they complain about, almost all of it, is complacency. Once in a while, they'll complain about the hours that they work. But in general, that the biggest thing they complain about is, complacency.
Yeah.
Like somebody not doing their job.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's interesting, huh?
That's absolutely.
Did you see Sean's Facebook post
I have.
the other day?
Really
He's under 200 pounds.
Nice.
Dude, I
That's
saw
awesome.
he posted a picture with it. Bro, I wouldn't recognize him.
Yeah,
Dude, he looks good, though. It's good. I don't know if Sean listens or not, but
I very highly doubt it.
I do too. But you know what? Good work,
Anyway,
Someday when he listens, he'll be like,
That's
Aw.
me.
that's probably not going to
"Oh,
happen.
those guys,
All right. So let's
those rascals."
move on to the topic of the day.
what are we
Camden.
talking about today?"
The Bleep Monster.
Cam.
Kim.
We didn't ask you
Yeah,
a couple weeks ago when you were on the show. What are your thoughts on Bigfoot, bud?
What aspect? Like, if it's real?
Just
It's
your thoughts.
open. I'm not going to further classify. I'm just saying. What do you think of Bigfoot?
I'm gonna be against Bigfoot on this one. I don't think Bigfoot's real. That's what I'll say. I think it's all
usual.
just in people's heads.
Okay.
Specifically because, you know, when the sightings like appeared, you started seeing even more sightings, or even people like claiming that they see Bigfoot. But I think all it is people go out to the woods and they want to see Bigfoot so bad that their brain tricks them and they see something that they think is Bigfoot, but it's not Bigfoot. It's just an illusion.
Okay. I'm actually very glad you said that. And so I cannot wait to ask
Gonna
you that
prove me.
same question at the end of the day.
Okay.
So did you guys look up any Bigfoot adjacents, or is this all on me
I found one
today?
at the Amazon rainforest. I found one.
Okay. What was that one called? Just to make sure I don't overlap.
Let me see. I'm probably not going to pronounce this right, but I'll try.
Now, I spent a lot of time on the actual Bigfoot that we're going to talk about, but I did take a little side tangent, and I kind of told you about it. I found enough stuff on the other one. I was like, you know what, we need to have a little sideshow on this one, because like what Camden's talking about. So the one that I looked to on the side, this place is crazy because and just to give a little teaser for a future show, the Bigfoot sightings weren't by Bigfoot hunters. They weren't by hunters. They weren't by somebody went out there looking for UFOs and saw a Bigfoot. Somebody goes out there looking for Bigfoot, they saw a shadow figure. Somebody goes out looking for shadow figures, they see UFOs. Like this place is great. Like you never quite see what you're
But you see
that
something.
made it crazy because they weren't looking for Bigfoot and they had some sightings out this other place. But that one's a whole different animal. So
to preface the episode for today, excuse me.
Whoa.
I was talking to, again, and they're not a sponsor, I promise, but they come up a lot. I was watching the live of the guys at Insane Labs.
they're my sponsors, by the way. Not really, but I wish they
Dude,
were.
we got to get them to sponsor it, even just an episode.
In my imagination and my goals.
In my heart.
Yeah.
They're in my heart.
So they brought up the podcast from the Christmas episode, and I was talking, and you had just texted me, and we're like, "What are we talking about this week?" And I was like, "Crap, we forgot to decide what we were going to talk about this week."
Yeah.
So I was like, so I was explaining to them. I was like, "Yeah, I'm trying to come up with a topic for our next week's episode that we're getting ready to record pretty soon." And they were like, "Oh, okay." And I was like, "Hey, I got an idea. Is there any like cryptids from your area, from like where you live?" And they immediately, the Fouke Monster. You got to look up.
And
the
you were
Fouke
like,
Monster.
watch your mouth. Watch your language.
Well, I first spelled it. I was like Fouke Monster, like the folk people. And then they're like, no, the Fouke Monster. And then they spelled it, and I was like, oh, Fouke, Fouke Monster. I was like, all right. I was like, we'll do the Fouke Monster. So I started looking up the Fouke Monster a little bit, and I was like, dude, you know what we ought to do today for this week is we haven't done a good Bigfoot episode in a while. And I was like, let's do the Bigfoot adjacents, the creatures that are not Bigfoot, but they're in that like subcategory of Bigfoot.
We talk about that a lot on this show too, is that you know, there's so many of these things that they're the same thing. They're just from different places. I found this one kind of fascinating though. I'm glad.
This one was
I think
this one was a lot
Bigfoot's
of
the
fun.
genus and Sasquatch is the species, maybe? Or maybe
Yeti.
backwards.
Maybe.
Sasquatch is the...
Yeti is a off branch.
Courtney-
of the family, and
Gosh, I wish she was on the show today.
with the skunk ape and all those guys.
Oh yeah, skunk ape. I read that this
So-
Yeti is not related to the Bigfoot.
You don't talk about the Yeti
Well,
like that.
okay, so Courtney had a theory. I wish she was on this episode so she could talk about it. She said she found a theory that, so it's not that Bigfoot is necessarily different everywhere he goes, but that his wool is almost like a translucent microfiber style of like hair. Yeah. And so everywhere he would be, his environment would mirror the environment
kind of
around him.
Chameleon-esque.
So when he's in dark forest, he's going to be black. When he's in
like the predator.
When he's in mountain ranges and there's a lot of snow, he's going to come across as more white. When he's in the bogs and it's more green, he's going to come across more like swampy, like dark brown, greenish colored. And I was like, that's a good theory. And then so she was looking more up stuff.
Polar bear fur is hollow, isn't it?
What?
Polar bear fur is hollow.
I think
I have no clue.
I think it is.
I'm going to look it up. Hold on.
You have fun with that.
Okay.
All right. Once you find it, let us know. So the Fouke Monster. So this is the Bigfoot adjacent. We'll call it Bigfoot adjacent. It's also known as the Boggy Creek Monster. A long time ago, like I'm talking when we first started this show. Gosh, at least a year ago. Mm-hmm. This creature actually came up very, very briefly.
It did?
Yes. And the reason I know that is because the evidence. Because I looked at the evidence and then I was like, oh, yes. I was watching a show and they talked about the Boggy Creek Monster. And it threw me off because the actual name of it is the Fouke Monster. Huh. But some people know it as the Boggy Creek Monster. And the reason why is because they have a cased footprint as evidence of this creature from back in the 70s.
Right.
And then it has been researched and like people have actually looked at it and they're like, we don't know what creature would have created this footprint. It looks authentic because of this and
what region? Things. What region are we in?
So this is from Fouke, Arkansas.
Arkansas. Okay.
So Fouke was the name of the town.
I couldn't remember how far south we were going here.
Yep. Near Boggy Creek, Arkansas, which is the names of the thing. So I'll give the general rundown, and then I can tell we can kind of mutually tell the story if you research it.
Hollow.
Yeah.
So the peak occurrence. So it occurred like the rumors existed before, but the peak of it was between the 60s and 70s. And the physical description from witnesses, and we'll start to see a theme here today. I just want you guys to know that, okay? So I'm sharing this because eventually you'll start to see a theme. Height between 6 and 7 feet tall, very broad-shouldered, muscular. The hair was dark, long, and it was matted hair covering the body. The smell was extremely strong, sulfur-like or a rotten odor. The eyes were red and glowing in low light. The movement was bipedal, fast, powerful, but at times could come across as awkward. The most significant location of the Fouke Monster is mostly nocturnal, but they are territorial and not randomly aggressive. So it was more like once you entered into their territory, they were aggressive. They were curious but hostile when approached. They avoided large groups of people, and they were often seen near livestock, water sources, or remote cabins. There was a movie that was made after it. It was called The Legend of Boggy Creek in 1972, and it was actually kind of a pop culture hit.
That movie it made $25 million, which is crazy for a low budget, like almost nothing
independent film.
No real actors. It was all locals. Like it was a documentary style /
was it well made, or could this be on MST3K?
I feel like it
I saw clips. It was typical 1970s indie.
It reminiscent of like a Jaws. Okay. Like it was very well done in the storytelling, but I mean the capabilities of the 70s weren't unless you had a big budget. But the most famous encounter, which I think everything is kind of based off of for the movie, was the Ford family incident. Is that what you found as well?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Well, on that, Mike, why don't you go ahead and, since this is the main one you researched, I'll let you take over this one.
Well, I kind of looked at it and looked into it from kind of a skeptic kind of viewpoint more than, because it is super reminiscent of all the Bigfoot stuff that we've talked about. So I was like, well, what could be different about this one? And I was like, first of all, why isn't it a Bigfoot? Why aren't they just saying,
right?
Oh yeah, we got an Arkansas Bigfoot. And here's the thing is that, they didn't see it as a Bigfoot until what happened was the movie came out. It became hugely popular in drive-in movies, and drive-in movies always do 2 features. And there was another movie two other movies that came out during the time. One called The Legend of Bigfoot, along with The Legend of Boggy Creek. And then there was another movie just called Sasquatch that they would play at the same time. And so the fans of those movies that were going were making connections and being like, this is the same creature. This is the same thing. It's a Bigfoot. And so, and the locals were like, no, it's different. No, it is a Bigfoot. No, it's different, and so that's kind of where that whole separation and why it's the Fouke Monster and not like the Arkansas Bigfoot. I thought that was kind of interesting. The original castings and things were a 3-toed Bigfoot. The foot castings only had 3 big toes. Mm-hmm. And then somebody came along, some zoologists and stuff came along, and they did a few tests and they figured out the 3-toe version is a crane footprint that was just weathered out. And so they debunked it. And then all of a sudden we've got 5-toed Fouke Monster prints all over the place. So there was a lot of skepticism that came along with that, but
this one that I saw,
yeah,
was actually a law enforcement print, and it hadn't been debunked, and it only had 3 toes.
Yeah, and so all of them had 3 toes.
Looking at that, I'd like to talk
up to it, and again, looking at it from like
whoever said it was a crane,
the skeptic view, things.
I'm just saying, if that is not a crane, I don't like. It might be fake. But like looking at that is not a crane.
That's Tanner was showing me that as you were saying, like zoologists debunked. I'm like,
right. But I have seen other ones with other Bigfoot investigations where they took an animal like a wolf print that had been there for too long and had been worn out by the weather, and it looked like a human footprint. And it's a wolf print. Yeah. So I'm not, I'm not throwing it out there. I'm not confirming it.
I hear you.
It's just, that's just what the zoologists were saying is like, these are crane prints. So, but
the other one, I could see this one being a weathered out, like it's a weirder shape.
Yeah, it's a little skinnier and longer, in the Discord. Maybe, yeah.
I could, but I mean, I still,
so like I said, I was kind of looking at this because, like anything else, you dig in too deep, you get a little too deep, you start believing everything. So I was like, you know what, I'm going to take a little skeptic view on this thing and see what I can find. They did find, this documentary I was watching, there was a husband and wife that were out hunting, and they came across a baby, a little baby Fouke Monster, a juvenile Fouke Monster, and so they were going up to it and being like, "Come here, little guy," whatever. And then they said they heard the parents coming through the woods, full bore at them, and they heard them coming, and so they panicked and got in the truck and peeled out and took off before they got a chance to see them, because they said they were crashing through trees, and they said that the sound that they were making was horrible, and it was like reminiscent of like the howling monkeys in Mexico.
No, yeah.
But so it was like that, but they were coming at them through the woods and like, yeah.
Wow, someone's got survival instincts.
I don't care. Yeah, I don't care what's coming or how big it is. If I hear that coming at me, I'm getting in the
go the other way.
Getting out of there. So yeah,
I want to be where that is not.
Yeah, just a few things like that came across, but
the Ford family incident. This one was a rural area outside of Boggy Creek. Again, outside of Fouke, Arkansas.
What was the dad's name? He had a cool name. I'm drawing
this one was just Bobby Ford.
Oh, Bobby. So his Bobby's dad had a cool name. Let me see if I can find out what it was. Because they actually did interviews with him and Bobby on this, this one that I watched.
The Fords, it's important to note that they were very familiar with wildlife and rural living. They grew up in the area generationally.
Near Boggy Creek.
Nothing, that is... Yeah. Nothing in the area was new to them. And
Yeah.
so that's why they claim that the incident rattled them so much. So the initial night, basically they just heard late night, there were heavy footsteps circling the house. There was scraping and scratching sounds along the walls. And then there was just like deep animal growls, like almost like grunt-like. Kind of like how you would probably imagine like a big monkey would probably sound. At first, they just assumed it was a bear and just didn't go out and investigate because they're smart about wildlife. And so they didn't go out and look at all. But as time goes on, this thing would occur more and more. And the scratches, they started looking at the scratches a little bit. And the scratches are found at like 6 to 7 foot high on the walls. So no matter what is creating these claws, it has to be able to reach up to 6 to 7 foot high up.
Yeah.
And
That rules out a lot of critters.
yeah. So the hog incident was one of the more disturbing claims that they claimed, was that they saw that this creature picked up a hog that was weighing between 100 to 200 pounds and just lifted up the hog with ease and carried it under its arm. And then later on, they found the hog killed outside of the premises of their farm and like mangled, which is interesting because it would have had to have been strong enough to just pick up and carry it.
Bro, my only thought is an escaped gorilla.
No, I don't
Like, that's the only thing I can
But a
think.
gorilla isn't going to be picking up a hog, because gorillas eat planes.
Well, no, yeah,
know
no.
what I mean?
Tendency-wise, that's but
yeah,
as far as strength
exactly,
goes,
strength-wise, that's the only
strength
thing.
and dexterity. To be able to pick up something, like, that's not a thing that most creatures do.
Right.
They don't pick things up. If they pick it up, it's with their mouth.
Yeah.
Which,
And
picking up a 200-pound
they
hog
reported it as having, the glowing red glowing red eyes and emitting an overwhelming sulfur rotten stench. Law enforcement got involved. Law enforcement took prints, checked out the area. They cased the large footprints that they found. And Mike brought up the 3-toed foot impressions were made, and the tracks lead toward the boggy creek and then disappear.
And didn't they originally, the original report, they reported to the police that there was a man out there. And then when they started doing the investigation, they're like, there's no way, no way this was a man that did this. And then they found footprints and all that stuff. Yeah.
And so one of the things for me is that I will be honest, I do give a story a little more credibility if police get involved, and the police are the ones who determine some of this stuff. Mm-hmm. And this is one of those cases. That's because reasonable. The police got involved, and the law enforcement were the ones who noted the footprints are way too big to be human, that the footprints had 3-toed impressions, and that the strides were way too big to be a human, even a 6-foot, 7-foot human.
Right.
The strides were so long that it would have had to have been too big. And the law enforcement were the ones that noticed it was 2 and not 4. And so the strides were something bipedal and not quadrupedal. And so because of the fact that the police were the ones who did some of that investigating, that makes me have a little more.
Here's something too, like when somebody hoaxes, there's usually some sort of there's something they're getting out of it.
Right.
So like when what's his face in California that had where his family revealed that he had the Bigfoot prints in his shop. He owned a Bigfoot like memorabilia shop.
Yeah.
You know, like he profited from it. The Ford family, they had a bean farm or something. They weren't even like a big operation. And they actually, a lot of them wanted to get out of Fouke when the media and everything swarmed in and all the people, and they wanted to get out.
That's one of my big credibility things. Those two things combined is like, if you don't gain anything from it, or you are clearly not enjoying the attention, you don't want to talk about it, that's big credibility. Law enforcement gets involved, or any sort of like official government entity gets involved and acknowledges a thing, that's big credibility.
So real or fake, any way you look at it, it doesn't lend itself to a hoax.
Yeah. Well, so the last piece of information that I agree with you on, and is fire for my case for the stash.
It's so nice to not be the one getting
with the Fouke Monster, there was no escalation of claims over time. So that means people weren't going out wanting to find it and finding it and coming up with claims. There was no escalation of claims over time. There was just the consistent claims that did exist. There was
that big claim from the 70s still remains as the big claim. Like there hasn't been any big ones since. And actually there's a guy, I was reading, one guy wrote a book. He wrote a book about it and has been down there and actively searching for this thing and has never had an encounter. And he openly says, I've never had an encounter, and I've been down here for years looking for this thing, So I think that was interesting too, that it's not escalating as sightings and things.
So now I ask, out of all the sightings, has it only ever been someone that lives in the area to see the thing, or has there been people that go down there and somehow see the thing?
With specifically the Fouke Monster?
Yeah.
I think this one, I don't know, honestly.
They all seem to be locals. Even the movie, they didn't hire
locals.
actors. They hired locals that had stories and had them tell their stories. And then they acted them out in some of the scenes. From if you were to watch scenes from the Legend of Boggy Creek movie.
I'm going to watch that.
Yep.
Yeah, I didn't come across anybody modern that was actively looking for, the thing or anything like that. But there is a shop down there like there always is.
There always
you can buy stuff, the little museum, the Fouke Monster little museum and stuff. But
probably makes like $75 a year.
Interesting.
All right, so let's stay somewhat regionally, and we're going to continue on to my favorite named Bigfoot adjacent.
Is it what I think it is?
What is it?
Skunk ape?
No. The skunk ape is the next
I do
one.
like the skunk ape.
Skunk ape is my second favorite named Bigfoot adjacent. This one is called the wood booger.
Okay.
Yep.
I never heard of this one.
To understand the name, booger literally means wood booger literally means the thing in the woods that scares you. This occurs
like Boogeyman.
I was going to say, that's what I'm hearing.
And actually, I saw in the Fouke Monster, some of the locals called it the booger.
Yeah.
They said, we're out looking for the booger.
Yep. So this one predates the modern Bigfoot trend. It predates all of it. Early 19th century, shows up on the Appalachian Trail area. Okay. So this one specifically shows up in Western Virginia, Eastern Kentucky, and parts of West Virginia. Physical description: 6 to 8 feet tall, broad-shouldered, muscular, dark brown, black, reddish, or shaggy and unkempt. Again, face, flat nose, heavy brow, deep-set eyes. Smell: strong, musky, sulfur-like odor.
It's always the smell.
A movement surprisingly fast and quiet for its size. The people from the local area, they would decipher this as being different from Bigfoot in that the wood booger feels meaner. So the difference between the typical Bigfoot and the wood booger is that the
aggression,
that the Bigfoot, typically you come upon it, whereas the wood booger is looking for you.
Oh, I don't like that.
I don't like that either.
And it is very territorial, nocturnal, aggressive but evasive, and it is very vocal. It will howl, scream, knock wood, and throw rocks. So a lot of that Bigfoot tradition or whatever.
Right.
Yeah.
This one is exceptionally vocal.
amped up. Yeah.
Growls and whistles.
Ooh, whistles.
So this is one of the starts of the "Don't Whistle at Night" stories.
Okay.
If you heard a whistle, no, you didn't.
Yeah.
Just don't be out in Appalachia.
But one of the weird things about this one is that the hunters who encounter it, often their rifles will malfunction when they go to try to take a shot at it.
Like a supernatural type of thing.
Supernatural. Dogs refuse to advance towards it, and they are often seen towards mine entrances and ridge lines. Multiple generations of sightings. This one's a crazy because it says the locals say Bigfoot avoids you, the wood booger runs you off. And so it's a lot more aggressive than the typical what we would see as being Bigfoot.
Have we considered the possibility of these just being like a large handful of similar creatures or the same creature but different tendencies, personalities type thing just spread across the country? Like they just kind of each have their own region, their own zones, their own territories that they just kind of
like the same species.
Their own caves.
Yeah, it's the same thing but different type, like just
A lot of cave systems around that area.
different individuals.
Yeah. It's a possibility.
You know what's interesting? You say the gun thing. Like nobody ever seems to be able to hit these things. Hunters, everything else. So even when I looked at the Fouke Monster, one of the guys says he pulled up the gun, shot at it. No impact at all. Like he missed it and this is a hunter shooting at something that's, 6-8 feet tall. And he's not hitting it at all. Mm-hmm. Like, to me that we've talked about it being a dimensional being, maybe a spiritual being, things like that.
I can breathe.
I was telling you earlier, I was watching some of the new episodes of Expedition X, and on one of them, they're checking out a Bigfoot thing, and they've got the heat sensor up above, and she's just sitting there, and something is running through the woods at her, and you can see it running at her on the thing, and it sets off all of her sensors all the way around her, so she's panicked, and he's like, he's like, it should be running like right through you right now. And she's like, there's literally nothing. And like, yeah. So I was like,
crazy.
Maybe you can't shoot these things. I don't know.
Yeah.
Just another angle.
Yep. Agree.
But I think that's weird that nobody's ever even got off a shot on one.
When we get to my Bigfoot, you'll be interested.
Will I?
Yeah.
Promise.
I promise.
What was yours again?
The Mappin Guari.
Okay, I'll let you go next after we finish the wood.
Probably did not pronounce that right, but
we'll let you go after the.
It's okay. We don't pronounce anything.
All right. So, I don't have a story for all of these because for the sake of time.
Yeah.
But this one was a significant. I mean, I have stories for all of them. I'm not necessarily going to tell all the stories. This one's significant. So this is Wise County in Southwest Virginia, and again, I talk about how the start of the "Don't Whistle at Night" kind of stuff.
Yep.
So this is the whistling incident, and it occurred in the very early 1900s. There was a young group of men who were walking back to their cabin after dark, and one of them whistled very loudly. Common, like people whistle. In fact, whistling, there are things that I feel like are, I don't know, it's not addictive, but like pattern forming. If you start whistling, somebody else in the room is going to start whistling. And then if I say
your throat.
Yeah, clearing your throat or saying America.
Oh, yeah.
Yawning.
When you say America, somebody else in the room has to say America.
Yeah.
You just have to. Somebody has to do it.
Denied myself. I wanted to so bad.
Whistling is one of those things where it's like if you whistle, somebody else is going to whistle. It's like it's built into us to whistle.
Yeah.
Okay. So
maybe if you think about it, maybe the whistling from that Bigfoot is to force or attract you to whistle so it knows where you are.
Exactly. So it's trying to get
like
you.
Coyote call.
Yeah. It's like
Marco Polo.
Yeah.
How the coyotes to haul back. Oh, there you are. I knew you were over there.
Okay, so one of them whistles loudly, and then immediately a whistle came back, perfectly mimicked, but lower and longer. So same whistle, but lower and longer. So they kind of laughed and whistled again. This time, the response came from multiple directions.
Nope.
Nice.
Oh, I do not like that.
Immediately, I'm out.
Nice.
And then following that, heavy footsteps just rushed in around him. Branches start snapping at shoulder height around him. They're like, what are you doing that? You know?
You ever seen a man break the speed of light? Going to.
And the way they explained the next part was how they explained it was a deep growl that it sounded like a bear trying to talk, is how they explained it. It was like a growl, but it was like I don't know how, like the way I pictured it was like, you've heard huskies trying to talk.
Yeah.
But now imagine like a deep bear growl trying to do, like, that's kind of how I pictured it. And then they just took off. When they reached the cabin, something was circling the structure, pounding on the wall hard enough to shake the dishes inside the cabin. Cabins are like, I don't think that even I could rattle the dishes pound on the wall of a 1900s cabin. Those things were built.
Yeah.
Those things were built. So that's when an elderly relative later told them, you don't whistle at night unless you want it to be answered. And so this is kind of the origin of the don't whistle after dark rule that is tied to the Appalachian Mountains. There's tons of stories. One of them, and I'll briefly go through them just because the wood booger was one of my favorites. It's so great. There was a farmer who noticed something on the ridge overlooking his fields, and it never moved while he was watching it, but when he would look away and he'd look back, it'd be gone. One time he approached it with a lantern and a rifle, and again, it smelled like wet dog and sulfur is how he explained it. And he said when he raised the rifle, it screamed, not a roar, but a shrill howl that echoed throughout the whole valley. And then his rifle misfired and he took off and peed his pants probably on the way.
Reasonable reaction. I'm not going to lie.
And that was in the 20s to 30s. Then we have another encounter in the 40s, where the coal miners were reporting that their tools were moving, their food was getting stolen, their dogs were refusing to go onto the site. Kind of reminds me of the Nisse episode where we were talking about the little people of Iceland. The dogs refused to go near the site, and one night, two men were working, and they saw a tall, hair-covered figure standing at the mouth of the mine, and they said that it leaned unnaturally. It made a low clicking, like popping sound with its mouth.
Predator. And
it threw a rock that shattered near their feet. So not aimed to kill them, but like
scare them.
It shattered at like a rock shattered at their feet.
That's some power.
Some power.
Yeah.
The camp supervisor closed that section of the site. Their response was, it was serious enough that they were like, we're not doing this. And so the miners said that it was claimed by the wood booger, and so they never went back. There's also stories of children who've wandered too far in the woods and have been disappeared by the wood booger. And yeah, I'm not going to go into all of the details because I want to get to the rest of these Bigfoot adjacents.
Bigfoot cousins.
Camden, you are up, bud.
Okay. So, as I said, the Mapinguari, I'm going to mispronounce that every single time. Amazon rainforest, primarily in Brazil, but also rumored to be in Peru, Venezuela, and Bolivia. Bolivia. So, I'm going to describe this thing for you. So, it's a giant one. It's a giant, like roughly 7 foot tall. It's hairy, often described as a mix between a giant sloth and a gorilla, with thick fur, long claws, and powerful foul stench. But its most distinctive feature, it has a gaping mouth on its in the middle of its belly.
What?
Yeah.
It has what? Say that again?
Gaping mouth in the middle of its stomach, basically. Where its
that's way different than any of the other adjacents I've found. That's crazy.
It's weird. And then there's also, I don't think its sightings have proven this, but in like folklore, it's been said to have one eye, not two.
Oh, Cyclops.
So it's like a cyclops.
Ooh,
yeah.
Okay.
Sasquatch.
And it also has
Squatch.
like a terrifying scream. Apparently, like it sounds like a human scream, but it's lower. And it can apparently like shake buildings or like shake trees when it yells.
Okay.
And then back to you saying that the Bigfoot's never been like shot before. This one has.
Oh, okay.
In like reports. The reason why they haven't really killed the thing or hurt the thing is because its skin is said to be kind of like scaled. So it's scaled, but in between the scales there's fur. So it's rumored to be like pretty much impenetrable.
I want to say I saw an expedition show about this one and then one of their like skeptical arguments is that there actually were giant sloths in South America.
It is rumored to be a giant sloth.
Yeah.
So that's
Sloth
that's
and that there's just
still a
some
major theory.
still down there because there's a lot of rainforest just not explored too. But the mouth and the middle of its torso.
Its footprints are interesting. So there's two types of footprints they found. One of them is kind of like you see if you take the bottom of a bottle and you stick it in the ground. That's one of the footsteps.
Huh.
The other one is kind of like a human footprint, but it's backwards.
Oh yeah, I
Like
did
a
see that
sloth
too.
almost.
Like
Yeah.
their feet are backwards. Yeah.
Yeah, their feet are backwards.
This is like that's giving me more like
Yeah.
I don't even more like a Wendigo vibe than a Bigfoot vibe.
And then
Not even that,
like,
and then not even Wendigo. I'm trying to even think of
like that
what
bottle footprint. It also plays into there's a theory of there's another creature out there that's called Bottlefoot or something, which is where that
Makes
footprint
sense.
comes from.
Yeah.
But if you think about it with the reverse like footprint, that sloths can actually they're super flexible. And reports also say that this creature is very clumsy or sluggish in its movement, which is like a sloth, but it's very quick when it has to be. Right.
And they say that the giant sloth was not very slothy. It was a little more aggressive than
And it's said that this creature exists to protect the rainforest from people that are using its resources for bad things. And that's its whole purpose, apparently.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Kind of forest guardian.
I also looked into, there's apparently been a reported incident with this creature.
Good. We need to know about incidences.
Incidents.
There we go. So the famous Mapingari incident. So back in 1937, there was a rampage in Brazil that went on for 3 weeks. It killed 100 cows. Basically just, that's it. It just killed a bunch of cows. Yeah.
100 cows.
But 100 cows, and it went on for 3 weeks, apparently.
Dude.
100 cows in 3 weeks is a lot of cows.
Yeah.
That kind of also rules out most other creatures because what's doing that?
Right. Because even a rogue, the only thing I could even think of would be the Ghost in the Darkness when the lions went crazy in Africa. I want to do an episode on that.
Yeah.
But even that, they were
That's
still...
not really conspiracy, but yeah.
I mean, there aren't many things that actually almost nothing in nature that kills more than it can,
it just kills
use,
to kill.
right?
Yeah.
There ain't much that, kills for sport.
Yeah.
At all.
Huh.
Like dolphins and us.
I did read too. Apparently, this creature likes to torture its victims.
Of course it does.
Yeah. To the point of if it's a human, it tears off its limbs first.
Oh.
And then
Fun.
But other than that, it tries to eat its prey slowly. Apparently, very slowly.
Bro, the second we entered jungle territory, that's like Predator.
Yeah.
I mean that one's legit that's Predator adjacent.
And what's crazy, we think we don't know what's in the Appalachians, man. You get down to the rainforest, dude. There's entire communities of people that don't even know the world exists outside of their community.
Have we done an episode on the face peelers yet?
Oh no. I don't think
Face
so.
peelers.
I don't think we have.
Yeah, look
That
at
might
the
be-
face peelers, Camden. Did you want to have a few?
All right, let's do that next week.
All right,
Okay.
I'm with it.
All right. Let's move on. All right.
All right.
We're still good on time. The next one,
Skunks.
Skunk Ape.
Oh, yeah.
So this one is Florida. So we're still kind of in the same eastern part of the United States.
And this one's got enough like associated with it. Like you were flashing through pictures, and I was like, "Oh, that's Skunk Ape."
Yeah,
I've seen the pictures.
This is one of the more famous
Yeah.
Bigfoot adjacents in my mind. So the Skunk Ape. This one is a large bipedal ape-like with dark reddish brown hair. And this one is called the Skunk Ape because it stank like a skunk. Like it would show up and it'd smell like a sulfuric skunk. Is kind of the way they was explained. This one again between 6 and 8 feet. Hot swampy environments, more aggressive. Which I mean, if you had to live in hot swampy environments, you'd probably be
Where are
more
we
aggressive
talking?
too.
Where are we
Florida.
talking? Florida.
Yep.
Florida.
So this is the so we got the Florida man. Now we've got the Florida Bigfoot, and it's the Skunk Ape. This one again, human-like with a flattened nose and a heavy brow, eyes deep set, glowing red or amber in night settings, feet large, 14 to 18 inches, sometimes 3-toed. I didn't know that about.
That's
Skunk
weird.
Ape.
That's the first time we looked into the Fouke Monster. That was the first time I saw a 3-toed.
And I didn't know that about
That's
the Skunk Ape. Its defining trait is its smell, but all of these, all of them they are explained by being stinky.
Yeah.
This one is rotten egg, sulfuric, wet dog, skunk spray mixed with swamp rot. That's quite the smell.
Yeah.
Very pungent.
I mean, imagine what you'd smell like if you just lived in the swamps. I mean, and
we're a demon.
Showers. There's no. Yeah.
Dude, sulfur is such an interesting smell. I went into a building the other day, and it was a big shop. And on the ground, this is totally random. I might have already explained this on the podcast, but on the ground, there were like hundreds of thousands of flies. Just like, and it was like a perfectly coated carpet of the whole floor. There were no piles.
Yeah.
It was just like, it looked like somebody
Just an
took.
even mat of flies.
It looked like somebody took like a seed spreader, but instead of spread seeds, it spread dead flies. It was weird. And then we went into the adjacent part of the building and there were no flies over there. And it reeked of sulfur. And I was like, this is creepy. Just in case there's like gas, I'm going to leave. But anyway, that sulfur smell is, but sulfur is unsettling of a smell.
Yeah.
Like when you smell it, because have you ever, I mean, like rotten eggs in and of itself when it smells like that, but when sulfur, it's like sulfur is like next level past rotten eggs. All right. This one primarily in the Florida Everglades, can go into Georgia, some of the Alabama wetlands. I didn't know there was wetlands in Alabama, but it makes sense that there would be. Louisiana swamps, dense vegetation, water sources, and that kind of thing. What its behavior pattern is: tree knocking, whooping, guttural growls, rock throwing, territorial posturing, shadowing humans silently, and then fleeing into the water, which is different than Bigfoot. Bigfoot will approach water, but this one flees into the water.
Yeah.
Hunters claim that it walks against the wind, probably to control its scent, which would make sense.
Yeah.
It moves extremely quietly despite its size, and it's a semi-nocturnal existence. So, the story of this one, the Myakka State Park, the Sarasota woman. So this is probably the most famous skunk ape, and that's where we get the pictures from. So a woman living near the Myakka River State Park reported that she was seeing a large reddish-brown ape-like creature repeatedly approaching her home at night. She claimed that it would eat apples that were left outside of her house, it would watch her through her windows, and it returned on multiple sites in a row. She then submitted photographs, so she got pictures of it when it approached. And she submitted photographs of it to local law enforcement, showing a large hunched figure. Here, Phil, I'll show you since I can. And I'll try to remember to post those in the Discord. But
The ape portion of Skunk Ape appears very apt.
yes, very much so. And the law enforcement forwarded them to wildlife officials who said it could be an escaped orangutan, but it definitely looks like a real creature.
It does look like a orangutan.
But there's no missing primates reported in the area around the year 2000. So, repeated encounters and photos that remain unexplained. There's also hunting incidences from the 70s where multiple adult witnesses saw a skunk ape with the classic smell before they showed up and the territorial pattern, knocking on trees, low growls, that kind of thing. Do you guys remember that video that went viral earlier in this year where it looked like a giant creature was flinging around in the trees, just shaking whole trees?
Yeah.
You guys remember that?
No.
Was that in Florida?
I think so.
I feel like it was.
Yeah. It feels, yeah. I don't know.
I'll have to double check before I'll look it up and let you guys know in the Discord, those of you guys who are in the Discord. If you're not in the Discord, this is a good point to just say, hey, you should get in the Discord.
Yeah.
It's a fun place.
This is kind of random, but pretty good timing. Did you happen to see the video I sent you on the hole?
The hole?
The hole?
Oh,
okay, so the hole's interesting in its own right, but people in the comments were all pointing out, and I don't know if this was intentional, if the guy meant to do this, but do you see that? Towards the bottom right.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, let me see.
There's a thing there.
Oh, yeah, there's something there.
It's kind of a similar-ish.
Yeah.
I thought that
very similar looking.
The whole comment section was like, bro, what is this? The hole's weird and crazy, but what is that?
Yeah.
Tanner, have you ever heard of...
Hold on, let me
make a point.
Okay,
go.
Yeah. So I was going to say, to finish this off,
I have
just
a
real quick.
new little tangent, but yeah.
Okay, I'm going to finish this guy off, and then we'll move on to the next ones. For Camden, for your sake, just for your knowledge.
Yep, let's hear it.
This originates, and the Seminole Native Americans have, long before the skunk ape became pop culture or whatever, they have tradition that they speak of the Kapkaki, which is often translated as tall, hairy man. But they explained this creature in lore and legend as being deep in swamp territory, avoiding villages, extremely foul smelling, dangerous if approached, but not overly malicious. And they were treated as real creatures, not spirits or legends, more like a don't go in there, you're going to encounter this creature. So it predates long before the modern Bigfoot culture. And the cultural continuity expands multiple cultures seeing the same creature. Just for fun. All right. What was your point you were going to...
So have you ever heard of... So talking about humans going back and talking about maybe there's some stuff we just have not discovered in some of these deep woods and deep jungles. Homo heidelbergensis. Do you know what that is? No. So... For a long time, science thought that all humans came from Homo sapiens, and that there also existed Neanderthals. But there was a lot of talk of the missing link between those two species, right? This is that link. So before they became Homo sapien or Neanderthal, all the humanoid species, the intelligent humanoid species, were Homo heidelbergensis. All right. Now, these things were about 6 feet tall. They had large brain size, large skulls, extended brows, flat noses. Most of them they think they had reddish or dark brown hair all over their body.
I have a counter theory, Mike.
Now, what they said is so modern science says that when they split, the the ones that went to the Middle East and through Asia were all vegetarian because these were omnivores. They split. All of the veggie eaters went that direction. They developed into Homo sapiens. All of the ones that went south went to Africa, became meat eaters, completely meat eaters. And they became Neanderthals, evolution-wise. Go.
Counter theory. We know that we've discussed this many times on this show, and you know my belief in the dating measures that they have are extremely flawed. What if they're just finding the bones of these creatures and they're not ancient? They're just, that's the way their bones look, and maybe they decay different than our bones.
Well, and that was, I'm not against that theory at all. I had another theory too. What if, so you know how we talk about the Smithsonian, and the Smithsonian does not have, they don't have any dragons. Dragons don't exist. Smithsonian doesn't have any dragon bones. They just have dinosaur bones.
Right.
What if we don't have any giant bones?
Left you hanging.
I'm just going to leave it hanging there the whole time. I'm going to leave it just for Phil. It's still hanging. He left me hanging when he snuck out.
Yeah, Phil had to sneak out.
He's gonna get
He's out.
Man.
He's gonna
gone.
get it.
He's out.
Next time I see him.
There, and he'll only find out once he listens to this episode. that he left
Anyway,
me.
what if? So we talked about Smithsonian doesn't have any giant bones. What if they have these bones? What if they have these humanoid bones that are 6 foot, 7 foot, 8 foot tall, predating what we think of the Homo sapiens that were, mid to upper 5 foot, Neanderthals, mid to lower 5 foot. You have the little ones that are clear East Asian that were about 3 foot tall. Those humanoids, they have all these. They're just labeling them with their scientific names, not calling them the giants.
Right. Yep.
So maybe they do have giant bones. They're just not calling them that.
Maybe. I think they have both.
Maybe.
And that they're different things.
Maybe.
Different things. All right.
All right.
We're going to power through the next set because
Let's do it.
now, I will say, I'm not necessarily saying that there's less information available about these adjacents. They just were less appealing names to me.
Yeah.
It's even their stories are probably more appealing. There's one in particular that I would have liked to dive into a little bit further, and maybe we'll have to do like where we dedicate an entire episode to like 2.
Yeah.
And just kind of like do that in the future. But because I am noticing we're getting to the point in the show where we're having to double back to information that we did talk about briefly,
right,
and expand it.
Yeah.
And so there'll probably be a point in the future where we expand on these. Plus, we're called the Biblically Accurate Bigfoot. So we kind of have to talk about Bigfoot more than we do.
Back around to it once in a while.
So this one, we are talking about the Yeti.
Okay.
The Yeti, often called I'm wearing I don't know if you noticed this, abdominal swole man.
Yep.
Instead of abominable snowman, it's abdominal swole man.
I get it. Yeah.
Shirt in honor of this. But
when Caleb was little, he was probably 4 at the time. I came home from work and he said, "Dad, I know how to call a Yeti. I learned the Yeti call." And I was like, "Well, tell me." And he goes, "Yeti, Yeti, Yeti." And I said, "Oh, I bet that works.
I bet.
Let's go test it."
So the Yeti is probably one of the more enduring cryptids because it takes place in the Himalayas, so not America. In America, and all over, like mountainous, snow-capped northern regions.
And isn't it like fairly recently that they lump them into the Bigfoot family? Like
Yes.
Before that, they were
Very
very
much-
adamant
very-
that this
very
is a
adamant
different
that it is
creature,
different, yep.
and they're just written like relatively recently. I want to say they've lumped them into to the family.
In the indigenous names that they have been called were the Yeti, which is Tibetan, which means rock bear or wild man. In the Mette and the Meto Kangmi, which means man-bear snowman. The Migao, which is wild man, and Zute, which is cattle bear. It was not a monster in their lore and their history. Right. It was just a dangerous animal that existed. So, taking the supernatural out of it, it was just a wild animal. They were like, hey, don't approach the Yeti.
Yeah.
But then in some of the cultures, it was physical as well as spiritual. Mm-hmm. So it's like you see both sides of it with the Yeti. The monasteries. So these are monasteries. So if I were to think of somebody who would probably tell the truth, my brain goes to a monastery. You know what I mean? Like the monks, like I don't see monks lying for fame. You know what I mean? Right. Like that doesn't seem like something they do. But the monasteries would tell stories of the Yeti stealing their livestock, living above the tree lines, and punishing disrespect toward the sacred mountains. So you start seeing the spiritual in it. Or acting as guardians of forbidden spaces within the mountain ranges. Again, physical, 6 to 9 feet, thick, muscular, ape-like. Their fur is white, though. Their face, flat nose, deep-set eyes, heavy brow, as always. Movement, bipedal. Footprints, 13 to 16 inches long. So even though there's a lot different about it, it's still at its core is very similar. Yeah. And the Yeti way predates Bigfoot. Like, way predates Bigfoot.
Well, and talk about monasteries, too. I want to say, and I may be completely, this might be a whole fake, like, false memory, but I want to say I've seen a documentary where they went to one of the monasteries and they have a Yeti scalp on display in a glass case, protected Yeti scalp.
I do feel like I remember that.
And I want to remember, and it was an older documentary, and they asked, they got permission to take some of the fur from it to have it analyzed to figure out like what species it belonged to. This Yeti scalp that they had in this monastery that they prayed over and everything else for protection or whatever. And I want to say that they came back and said that obviously it wasn't any Yeti kind of thing. It was either a bear or it was like it like came off of like some cattle or something. It wasn't even close to it. It wasn't even like any ape species or anything.
Yeah.
This
was a
scalp
goat.
came from.
Goat
or something. Yeah. But even in the monastery that we expect, like you said, we expect some truth and things. Even in that monastery, they still put it back in the case and they still celebrate it as a Yeti scalp, even though science proved that it was a goat scalp.
Right.
Yeah.
But again, though, if again, like, I don't know, you think of like the rich oral and written history of the monks.
Yeah.
I almost feel like it would be tough to let go of that just because there is a history of honoring the stories that came from before you. And there was a level of like, you knew this to be true.
Well, in any kind of spiritual, like religious based kind of thing, you don't want it to be disproven.
Right.
You just wouldn't want it to be. So, yeah. And it's still part of their stories, part of all of that culture thing. It's just, yeah, interesting.
But the sightings, some of the key moments of the sightings within recent history, in 1832, a British officer reported a large bipedal creature in Nepal. In 1921, it has 3 toes, but
where did all these 3 toes come from?
On the 3rd toe, there's actually 3 toes.
Oh yeah.
Do you see that?
Yeah, it's like
so it's 5 toes, but it's got like 2 really big toes,
deformed, like 2 big toes and 3 little toes,
almost like this.
Yeah.
But it's like, that's weird. But they're all the same size.
Yeah.
So it's like it'd be like this being one, and then this being one.
It's almost like an evolutionary kind of.
It's like apes. Yeah.
Yeah.
Apes have those type of things.
Yeah.
Yep. Exactly. There was in 1921 an Everest reconnaissance reported human-like footprints that were bipedal, and in 1951 a mountaineer Eric Shipton photographed what we have of these history of these prints. And then in the monastery, like you said, there's scalps, there's bones, there's hands, there's all kinds of relics of them. But
And it's funny because they protect them. They don't want them analyzed. They don't want them taken into a lab and told that they're not what they are. Like they had to do some work to be able to even get the little chunk that they got.
And I think that they also their level of belief is that they don't need confirmation.
Right.
You know, and it's like, why would you disturb? Like, I think of the Shroud of Turin.
Yeah.
You know, if that is Jesus, bro, don't mess with it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
If it is the blood of Jesus, don't mess with it.
Yeah.
But how do you figure out that it is? You almost have to test it.
But
then they
here's the
tested
thing, too. If it isn't,
But the thing about the
then
Shroud of
it's,
Turin,
you know, what the Shroud of Turin does for people, I think, can be just as powerful, just as important as if it is, you know, whether
Right.
it is or isn't.
but
you know?
the thing about the Shroud of Turin is important though, is that when they first originally dated it, they tested it way off.
Yeah.
And then they went back and they found an area that was more natural and like farther in, and then they tested it and they did it with multiple different ways of testing.
Yeah.
And 100% it is from the year basically like near zero, like near 50 or 40, between, what is it, is near between 0 and 50 or something like that. And so it's like, so the original dating disproved it.
Right.
But then future dating proved it. And so what if those early datings, they found it like, oh, it's a goat. What if just their system of analyzing back when they did that in the 60s or 70s or something like that, that they I don't remember. I'd have to look it up. But what if their analyzing was just flawed?
Yeah.
And so they disproved it, but 100 years from now, they're now never going to get another chance because they had originally disproved it. But 100 years from now, they could prove that, oh, no, this is not a goat. It does look similar. I could see how you came to that conclusion, but this is definitely not a goat.
Yeah.
You know, maybe it quote unquote evolved from goats. You know, it's like, anyway, that was the Yeti. Now we have this one is interesting. The Almas. So the Almas is a humanoid cryptid across Central Asia, the Caucasus Mountains, Siberia, Mongolia, and Western China. So Bigfoot isn't an American thing, but these creatures exist all over.
Right.
Kazakhstan, Mongolia, Western China, the Altai Mountains. Physical appearance, same size. This one's a little shorter, 5 to 7 feet. Powerful, muscular, reddish brown or dark. Flat nose, pronounced brow. This one has human eyes though, which I guess Bigfoot, its eyes glow, but they're very human-like as opposed to. Anyway, this one walks fully upright, and the head has no sagittal crest, which is important because apes have this. Witnesses say it's not an animal; it's fully human. It's not fully human; it's something in between. Mm-hmm. This one's important because they report it as being nonverbal, but whistles and shouts. But it uses tools and builds temporary shelters that sometimes people come across. Demonstrates curiosity. Again, no language, and the reports of them date clear back to the medieval period, because Marco Polo referenced the wild mountain men of Central Asia. Russian explorers also during the medieval period documented encounters with them. So again, not modern. Camden.
Man.
But there's all kinds of pictures. Extremely strong, hairy, but afraid of fire. Very intelligent, but act feral. Modern DNA has, well, that's a weird one. Story of Zana. So allegedly they captured one in the 1800s. That it looked like, do you see this?
Yeah.
So allegedly this was, one of them was captured and had children with the locals. So it'd almost be like, this would be more like a Neanderthal.
Yeah.
The DNA test results of the offspring of the Zana that they had captured in the 1800s show sub-Saharan African ancestry, but not Neanderthal. So that's kind of interesting.
Yeah.
But it proved that Zana was a human but she may have been feral. So it could be more of a feral
human kind of deal.
Feral hairy humans in the. I didn't catch that the first time I read through the information on it. But yeah, but they had captured one and it had a lot of children and it was a human. But all right, then now your other child that is not here in this house, Caleb, might know about this one. Probably not. It's a little further east than him, but this is the Momo phenomena. The Missouri Monster. Momo. This one is fun, and I did want to kind of go into this one a little bit more. Timing-wise. Okay, I'm going to talk very briefly about the Yowie before I get into the Momo, because I want to finish on the Momo. Yowie is Australia's famous large, hairy, bipedal hominid.
Nice.
So these are literally all over the world. They're sighted. This one's 6 to 10 feet, broad-shouldered, black hair, dark, flat nose, heavy brow, deep-set eyes, strong sulfuric smell, rotten odor, long, confident strides. So again, building the case that the generic attributes all over the world from all different times are very similar, but not perfectly the same.
Right.
I think that's important. But the Yowie sightings cluster heavily along Australia's eastern forests, the Blue Mountains, the Barrington Tops, the Gold Coast hinterlands. And basically, that's where we get the word Yahoo. So Yahoo.com. Yeah, that's the Yowie is Yahoo.
Okay.
But again, territorial behavior, avoiding of humans, described as people-like but very much not humans. And this is one that the Australian indigenous also have their own widely shared myths about the Yowie, but they're not exactly the same as the white Europeans versions, but they're so similar that they're basically the same creature.
Right.
But their lore is different and it kind of overlaps. But deep guttural growls, long echoing howls, knocking on wood, wood on wood sounds, starting to paint the same picture.
Yep.
People experiencing sudden overwhelming fear, disorientation, the feeling of being watched before they were to see anything. People who know the areas very well. Again, theme seems to be the theme. Claimed evidence. They have footprint casts. So again, that's typically the only thing people find. Audio recordings. And then thermal blobs on night footage, like you talked about earlier.
Yeah.
One thing that I have noticed as I've briefly looked through stuff while other people have been talking, the circular pattern, them surrounding and walking in a circle around you, has popped up in over half of these.
Oh, yeah.
And I meant to say it earlier and I forgot. But, okay, so that's Yowie. All right. That's Australia's Bigfoot. So, Camden, we're going to talk about the Momo.
The Momo.
And we'll finish off with the Momo. The Missouri Monster, St. Louis County. Again, height 6 to 7 foot. Dark brown, shaggy, matted. But this one is a little different because his head is round, like pumpkin shaped.
Oh, okay.
So a little bit different, yeah.
Is he related to us somehow?
Maybe.
These are big L heads. Or it's just the, because obviously we're still human, but we have big heads.
Yeah.
It's just the big headed version of the Bigfoot. It's just
Big head.
cousin, eyes glow red, sometimes orange at night. Arms long, this one's described a little more ape-like than human, but again, the smell, strong, foul odor, sulfuric garbage. The most famous sightings of this one occurred in the 70s. It seems like there were a lot of Bigfoot and adjacent sightings during the 70s, which, to your credit, could create, because there's movies coming out, all that lore and all that, could create the mass hysteria where people are looking for them and thinking they're finding them.
Or maybe people are just,
but
they have an avenue to talk about them.
Yes.
They've had the stories, they've had the lore, just no way to share all that until the media started to explode and people had access to media. Because before that, it was a very small group of people that had access to the media and create news and things.
And then we think
now anybody can do it.
Yeah, then we think like more people are seeing it, but no, it's just the stories are now releasing.
Yeah. So maybe it was always around. We just didn't know. Yeah.
This one, footprints are about the same size between that 14 and 18 inches. This one, and someday when Caleb is on the show, I want him to tell his own stories, but the key details of the Momo, and maybe you guys will be, it'll hit the familiarity bone as I explain this. So the main family was the Harrison family. The incident occurred in 1972 near what is Louisiana, Missouri. And the key details of this was the family reported seeing a large hairy creature outside of their home. The creature would look through windows, would rummage through the yard, and would bang and kind of like on the side of the house. Multiple neighbors reported seeing similar sightings in the area around the same time. Yeah. But this family were the ones that it specifically was walking around. So they're seeing it, but it's like he's focused on this one house. Yeah. So this family is the one that collected the footprints, and they called the cops. The cops came in, collected the footprints, did some investigating. But the police investigated, and even though that they saw the footprints and the stories corroborated, and like the neighbors would very similar. It seemed to make sense, but the police couldn't make a definitive case of what it was or what it wasn't.
Right.
But it did create a little bit of a regional panic. And there were, after this, a surge of reports after this incident. But this incident kind of kicked off the Momo reporting, and it was then covered by the local newspapers, the regional TV. Cryptid researchers started investigating it in the 70s. But yeah, this one, I think the incidents that all occur on this one is the banging on the house, the scraping on the wall, like every house that occurs, and then the smell. There was always a weird rotting garbage mixed with sulfur and wet animal smell. And yeah, the like I said, the law enforcement were involved. Footprints were taken and acknowledged that they were unusual. They weren't human, but there's no definitive creature that could have created them.
Right.
And the police did not feel like the family was creating a hoax. Through their investigation, they felt like everything was authentic, but no charges or public ridicule or anything like that followed, because the police basically were like, we believe this, we buy into what they're talking about.
We can't prove it, but we can't disprove it, and it doesn't seem like they're trying to gain anything from it.
But yeah, so that is the Momo. So Camden, let's finish on this.
Yeah.
Quickly. Now, what is your opinion on Bigfoot? Did it change?
Well, not really.
Not really?
Not really. Because, like, bringing up the thing that maybe more reports are showing up.
But so your main argument was that...
Oh, with reports showing up that people would go there wanting to find it, but no, they would just see kind of illusions that they wouldn't see it so bad.
One of the key arguments against you that I made was that they occurred all over the world through all different cultures, going back a long period of time, and even like the Native American and the Native Australian cultures observed creatures that were very similar to Bigfoot. So it can't be a modern phenomenon.
Yeah.
And I'm in between. I see your point too, whatever your name is.
Whatever.
And,
Child number 2.
I see your point too, because there are a lot of times there are people that they hit all the circuits and they want to go to all the Bigfoot stuff, but they've never had an experience, so they create their own experience. We talked about on the way up here. We talked about up at the School of Mines where he goes to school. They have a sensory deprivation room that, like, it's weird to be in. Like, you can't even hear your own voice in there. It's so it's so dampered in there. And if you're in there for more than 5-6 minutes, you start to hear things that aren't real sounds, and you start to see things that aren't real things. Like, it's pitch black. There's no way you're seeing something, but you start seeing things,
right?
In there. And so I think, even the ones that aren't, for those that aren't seeing anything, if you've ever been in the deep woods, like, it is dead quiet, and at night it is dark, and you're going to start seeing things. Your brain is going to start creating sounds. It's going to start creating images, and you're going to see some things. But that said, there's so much evidence and cultures that have accepted these as almost like their own, like, tribe of people, that they interact with and things like that. So I don't know. I'm in the middle. I think it's both. I think there are cases that are fake. I think there's cases where Billy Bob is hooting and howling in the woods, and
there could be those cases.
Jimmy Joe hears them and he goes, "Oh, that's a Bigfoot," and it's just Bob down the street, Because some of these could be real, like they're actually seeing what they're saying, but at the same time, maybe some of these are just, they see something because they, heard a Bigfoot, and all of a sudden I see a Bigfoot in my area. Yeah. And a lot of these stories where they just surge like that is because somebody comes forward and says, "Hey, I saw this thing," and somebody's like, "Well, you know what? I had a similar thing happen." And, Tanner, you probably get that a lot when you tell your story about State Park. You get a few people popping in and saying, "Oh, one time this happened to me," but they've never told anybody that. They've never come out and had that published anywhere or anything.
I've had a ton of people who have talked to me privately about their experience out there and how it's weird and blah, blah, blah.
Right.
That's, and so my whole point wasn't I never want to approach Bigfoot with the thought process that, like, I'm going to convince you, Camden, that Bigfoot is real. I just want to present you with the evidence that caused me personally to go, hold up. Wait a second.
Maybe.
Okay, maybe. Because I'm still not 100% on board. I still, my personal belief is that it's still more of, like, Bigfoot as a creature isn't real. I believe more in Bigfoot as being a spiritual being. More than anything. But so this is random, but I was talking to one of my, I'll call her my Native American sources, that she's really good about, anytime I bring up Native American culture or lore or anything like that, she's quick to either check me or expand on what I talked about.
Right.
This is totally random a little bit, but she was talking to me about the little people thing. And in the Native American culture, they talk about the little people way more than they talk about Bigfoot.
Right.
Little people is a truth amongst them. Like, it is real. They exist.
Yeah.
This is culturally, like, this is everywhere. Bigfoot is more kind of the similar, maybe a little more similar to, like, how we talk about it, is like, it's real, but it's a spiritual, or it's not really like, creature, but the little people, they talk about little people all the time.
Yeah.
And they said that in their culture, the little people are buried next to and in the same areas that the Bigfoot were buried and the giants were buried, basically.
Yeah.
But that was intriguing.
Yeah.
So, but my thought process is probably a little more along the spiritual side of things. But I think the sheer, the sheer overlap of attributes separated by time and space, but still having very similar descriptions.
Yeah.
The 6 to 8 foot, 6 to 9 foot tall, eyes that glow, their face, the flat nose, the heavy bridge, the deep brow, feet that are 14 to 20 inches, the sulfuric rotten egg skunk smell. All of those are in all of them, like almost all of them overlap, and different cultures throughout all of history. Even the Yeti, that predates, the Yeti encounters predate even America existing.
Right. Yeah.
The Native American lore predates their version. Them explaining the skunk ape predates any observance Americans saw, and so that causes me to go, okay, I can't just explain this away as sheer pop culture lore.
Right.
But I'm still not 100% convinced that, like you're saying, like every person who's ever had a Bigfoot story, I just personally can't believe 100% of them.
Right. Yep.
There's too much. It's like every person that has a, whatever story. It's like, there's just, I don't know. But if there's a million Bigfoot stories and even 100 of them are real, the odds are pretty high that 100 of them could be real, and that's still 100 Bigfoot encounters.
Yeah.
Whatever that looks like, however that would be. But anyway, all right.
And it's similar, like when we talked about like the biblical flood and things like that too. Like just to look at it and, it exists in the Bible. Maybe it wasn't real, but the fact that there's a flood described in every culture,
right? That
would be timing wise that same time,
right?
That if that doesn't prove that happened, then I'm not sure what does. Same thing with these big feet. Like, are they big feet? Bigfoots?
Bigfoots. I don't know.
Big feetsies?
Big feet.
It's Bigfoot is both plural and singular.
Okay.
The Bigfoot.
So you got 15 Bigfoot.
And then a big head.
There we go.
Yeah, big foot, big head.
A pumpkin head Bigfoot.
Big head Bigfoot.
But and history as well is what we believe. A lot of what we believe of history is what we were told existed.
Yeah. And
I just got into a conversation with somebody about the pyramids, and they brought up that they've recently found one of the pyramids. I think they said it was David's pyramid. They found like grain bins next to it.
Yeah.
And so like we only know what we can find. And if we can't find definitive A plus B equals C, we don't know how they got from A to C.
Yeah.
And so because of that, we're just trying to put the piece together.
We're stuck with lore, and we're stuck with, traditional passed down stories and, the storyteller's own history.
But I come to the same conclusion every time. The only culture on Earth throughout the history of Earth that completely just dismisses lore and folklore is Western modern culture.
Yep.
Even currently on this earth, 90% of the world believes in folklore, believes in these mysteries, believes in all this stuff. It is modern Western thought process that immediately dismisses it.
Yeah.
And so you're telling me that throughout the history of humankind, 99.99999% of all humans have believed in this, but we're a part of the 0.00001% of humans that have existed that we're smarter.
Well, and even industrialized, because even if you go down to Arkansas and the people in that county, they believe in it. They've they know it's there. To them it is very, very real. And I think I don't know, we live in a world where if I can't see it directly with my own eyes and nobody that I trust has told me about it, then it must not be real. So
and I think that in order to find the truth, we have to think differently.
Yeah.
I don't think we can, because how would we ever learn the truth about history if we didn't fill in some gaps?
Yeah.
If you just think, oh, here's the evidence, this is what it is, then
and finding the truth is the fun part for me, because imagine if tomorrow, proof comes out that none of this is real. Bigfoot was completely made up in every culture, and you find out that that's not a real thing.
Right.
That would be so disappointing.
Yeah, it would.
So I'm not really after the truth, to be honest.
Yeah.
I'm just having fun with
the discovery process.
Not knowing what's out there and discovering what the possibilities are.
Absolutely. Yep. Well, with that, thank you guys for listening. Don't forget to like, subscribe, comment, do all of those things. And
be your BA best.
Yeah.
Okay, bye.
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 ancient days of giants, when the earth was wild and free, a creature roamed the valleys, cloaked in mystery. Is he born of angels' blood and man, a Nephilim so tall, or a shadow of the fallen, yet heeding the Maker's call? He's a biblically accurate Bigfoot, with a lineage from the skies. Not a myth or legend, but a truth that never dies. Is he a remnant of the Nephilim, a titan standing tall? Or does he have the word of God upon him, the last to hear